the words of Kirk Cousins, we fight no cap. That was an all-time pregame warm-up speech from Kirk Cousins, but the Falcons continue to be the Falcons. They refuse to just play 4 quarters of normal football, but they won 31-26. They sweep the Buccaneers, their only real competitor in the division, and they now have a very comfortable lead in the NFC South. They're 1 game over Tampa, and they have the tiebreaker, and they remain unbeaten in the NFC South. So we're going to break down this game in more detail here and recap what was a very Falcons-esque victory, 31-26, where the offense continues to put up points and the defense continues to let the other team hang around for a little bit too long. I mean, Atlanta now at 5-3. If you go through their 5 wins, I mean, let's go in order. They beat the Eagles thanks to an awesome late comeback drive. Then they come back and lose to the Chiefs. They have wins over the Carolina Panthers, which was a pretty, 4 quarters butt-kicking game, but the Panthers kind of floated around in the first half. And then they messed around, to say the least, with the Buccaneers and the Saints. I mean, they refused to just play a game where all 4 quarters, they look good. And I know that's not super simple and super easy in the NFL, but every other winning team at some point this year has had a game where they walk away going, yeah, we had our way with them for all 4 quarters on offense and defense. The Falcons, they don't like to play that way. They like to make sure their fan base is always on the edge of their seat. Cousins, though, was really good today, 23 for 29. He even showcased his legs a little bit at the end. 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. Robinson, 13 carries for 63 yards. But the number one guy I would talk about through the air would be Kyle Pitts. I mean, I would say the best game of his NFL career. 4 grabs, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, comes back to heart attacks. Run into the end zone, Kyle Pitts. The moment I saw Antoine Winfield batted out right at the goal line, I just got deja vu to Tyrann Mathieu at LSU did that. A lot of guys have done that. I don't understand why anyone does that. What is the cool thing about barely walking into the end zone? Like, why is it not fun to run into the end zone? We had Nancy Reagan come out and say, don't do drugs. Drugs are not cool. We need someone to come out and go, run into the end zone. Jogging into the end zone is not cool. I don't get the swagger appeal to that. But yeah, Pitts, I know you said after the game it's a mistake that you'll never make again to leave it up to the officials. You better not make that same mistake twice, because that was a near very costly game or costly play right there, with Atlanta holding on to win by 5 points. I mean, you could argue that could have cost them the game at the end there. But Darnell Mooney continues to be one of the most underappreciated football receivers out there, receivers in football, and one of the best free agent signings, period. 5 grabs, 92 yards, and another touchdown. London on the quieter side today, just 4 grabs for 34 yards. So my fantasy team says thank you for that. But we even got a tight end signing. We haven't seen much beyond Kyle Pitts at that position group. So the offense, though, continues to put up points. And that's kind of the theme here for Atlanta. It is a race to 25, 26-ish, because the Atlanta Falcons offense is going to put up points more often than not. It's, can the defense just not give up 30? I mean, that's really what it came down to today. I mean, a Hail Mary at the end of the game, and we just saw the Commanders convert their Hail Mary, would have been the difference maker when the offense put up 31 points. So Robinson got a receiving touchdown. Again, similar to Pitts, can we just run into the end zone? It gives me a nervous breakdown. But overall, really encouraging stuff to see from the Falcons on offense. And the Buccaneers offense, I mean, they didn't have 2 of their top receivers. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Credit to Baker for making a couple of good throws with not a lot of great pieces around him. But despite that, despite the injuries, the Buccaneers were still able to put up a good enough offensive showing. I mean, a safety gave them 2 points, but still 24 points from Baker and company. That's not too shabby for a team that didn't have their top 2 receivers. So overall, impressive win for the Falcons, I would say, when it comes to going into Tampa and making sure you squash the Buccaneers and kill any chance of them trying to get momentum into the second half of the season and try to overtake Atlanta in the NFC South. I mean, the Falcons are going to go through Halloween in first place in the division. Honestly, when's the last time I could say that? Someone fact check me. I'm thinking 2017. Probably 2016. It's been a long time. That's the sad thing here. Next up, I want to talk about Jessie Bates, though. I think he is the best safety in football, and I'll tell you why. But a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 10 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money over at Prize Picks when you get as little as 4 correct picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS, and you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, run your game. So let's start by talking about the Bucs offense and the Falcons defense with this. Stop me if you've heard this before. The Atlanta Falcons had 0 sacks. 0 sacks. The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday, November 5th. They have to make a move. I know that Terry Fontenot isn't working with a whole lot. He's got 4 draft picks. He made a trade for Matthew Judon before the season started. He signed Justin Simmons, who, by the way, missed today with a hamstring injury. But it is simply such a bad pass rush that it is going to cost this team in the playoffs. I mean, I am truly terrified that there is going to be a moment in the playoffs where the Falcons have a 4-point lead and the opposition gets the ball with 1 timeout and 1 minute and 15 seconds, and they're going to have all day to dice up Atlanta's defense. I mean, Jessie Bates is phenomenal, but he can only do so much. He's only one person, right? He can only force so many takeaways. Even in a game where he gets an interception and a forced fumble, this defense is still on the field since to a Younghoe Koo missed field goal at the end, where they have to make a stop, otherwise they're going to lose because the defense cannot get to the quarterback. They have to make a move before the NFL trade deadline to add an edge rusher. Josh Uche from the New England Patriots was a healthy scratch today. My suspicion is the Patriots are close to a trade involving someone else and Uche, so hopefully that someone else is the Atlanta Falcons. But yeah, please, for the love of God, Terry, go and get a pass rusher. Jessie Bates, though, as I was saying before our Prize Picks read, he's the best safety in football. He comes up with an incredible interception on Baker, one of 2 picks. A.J. Terrell got the other one. And then he comes away with a forced fumble as well, and he recovers it. I mean, he is playing the best football in the entire NFL right now at the safety position. He is so dangerous on the field. He is a walking takeaway. Jessie Bates probably will be the best free agent signing on defense in Falcons history, arguably ahead of John Abraham. Right or wrong? Like, best defensive acquisition. I can't think of a better one right off the top of my head right now. He is simply fantastic. He is so fun to watch. I mean, anytime the ball is thrown deep down the field, I look at it, and for the first time, I think, oh no, this is not going to be a completed pass. This is going to be an interception from Jessie Bates. That's how dangerous of a defender he is. Pass rush, though, needs to get better, and it's not going to get better unless they bring a personnel change in. That's the bottom line here. It is clear at this point, as we have now played 8 games, you play 17. We are at the halfway mark. We are at the 50-yard line of the season. We should not expect to believe that starting next Sunday against the Cowboys, Atlanta will have figured out their pass rushing issues. They have to make a move if they want to be serious contenders for this year. And that's not easy when you only have 4 draft picks. I get that. But sitting still and doing nothing is going to result in a playoff loss. And that's what kind of scares me right now for this team is we know what their limitations are if they do not get a pass rusher. Ultimately, good team win on the road. Kirk Cousins' pump-up speech was awesome. Our Vikings guy here at Chat Sports, he still kind of roots for Cousins. He was the first one that showed. He's like, "Do you see this Cousins speech?" I was like, "No, show me." If you haven't seen it, go to Twitter and search Kirk Cousins, and it'll pop up immediately. Kirk Cousins is, he is just simply one of a kind. Let's leave it at that. He is one of a kind. But Atlanta improves to 5-3 on the season. A fun team win, even if it came at the expense of everyone's cardiologist getting a phone call after the game because they just refuse to play normal football, and Younghoe Koo can't make a 46-yarder, and the Falcons then find themselves in a position to potentially lose the game if Baker and the Bucs find the end zone. That's going to do it for us on our video today. I appreciate everyone for watching and hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the win, show me by liking today's video. Let's get to 500 likes.